Today, I want to challenge something we've been taught since we were little girls. Be nice, especially to men. Be agreeable. Smile when you're uncomfortable. Laugh at their jokes. Forgive bad behavior. Minimize your own needs to protect their egos. Enough. It's time we stop rewarding bare minimum behavior with kindness and instead start demanding the respect we deserve. Being nice often translates to being small, shrinking your boundaries, biting your tongue, and letting your standards slip because you don't want to seem mean. But standing up for yourself, speaking your mind, and protecting your peace isn't mean. It's powerful. Instead of being nice to men, be clear. Instead of shrinking, set standards. Instead of smoothing things over, hold people accountable. Men are not fragile little creatures who will break if you stop smiling at every microaggression. They are adults. They can handle honesty, strength, and real expectations. When you stop being nice, you create space for something so much better: respect, equality, and real connection. You teach men and yourself that your value doesn't lie in how much you're willing to tolerate, but in how fiercely you honor yourself. From the time we're young, especially as women, we're taught that being nice is a virtue above almost everything else. We're told to be polite even when we feel uncomfortable, to accommodate others even when it costs us, and to prioritize harmony over honesty. But what often hides beneath the label of being nice is a dangerous pattern: the consistent sacrifice of your own needs, values, and personal boundaries. When you focus on being nice, you often put the comfort of others above your own safety, happiness, and authenticity. You silence yourself when something feels wrong. You agree to things that don't align with your spirit because you're afraid of making someone else uncomfortable. You tolerate disrespect, lateness, thoughtlessness, even subtle cruelty because you don't want to seem difficult, high maintenance, or, heaven forbid, rude. But the truth is, every time you ignore your intuition, every time you say yes when you mean no, every time you smile through discomfort just to keep the peace, you erode your own power. You send a silent message to yourself and to others that your needs are secondary, that your boundaries are flexible, that your voice doesn't matter as much as maintaining the illusion of politeness. This isn't just about isolated incidents either. Over time, being nice becomes a habit of self-abandonment, a default mode where you trade your truth for temporary approval. And eventually, that disconnection between who you are and how you act can lead to resentment, burnout, and even a deep sense of emptiness. It's important to understand there's a major difference between being kind and being nice. Kindness comes from a place of strength. It's generous, but it doesn't require the betrayal of yourself. Niceness, when rooted in fear of rejection or desire for approval, demands that you contort yourself to fit someone else's comfort. Sacrificing your needs for the sake of being nice isn't noble. It's self-sabotage dressed up as virtue. Real connection, real respect, and real self-worth don't come from being agreeable at all costs. They come from standing firmly in your truth, honoring your feelings, and respecting your own boundaries first. There's a widespread, damaging confusion in our culture, the idea that being nice automatically makes you a good person. We've been conditioned to believe that if we are pleasant, agreeable, and accommodating, especially toward men, it somehow makes us morally superior. That if we never ruffle feathers, if we always smile and nod and make everyone feel good, we are fulfilling our highest role. But let's be clear, niceness and goodness are two very different things. Being nice is about appearances. It's about external behavior that pleases others, even if it costs you internally. Niceness prioritizes how you are perceived by the outside world over what is actually right, true, or necessary. It's surface level. It's about being liked, not about being honest, strong, or just. Goodness, on the other hand, is deeper. Goodness sometimes means saying the hard thing. Goodness sometimes means creating discomfort to protect yourself or someone else. Goodness means standing firm when boundaries are crossed, even if it makes people uncomfortable or angry. Goodness requires courage, not compliance. A good person will say no when something violates their values. A good person will call out bad behavior instead of ignoring it. A good person will sometimes disappoint others because their loyalty to their own integrity is greater than their need to be approved of. Niceness says, I don't want to upset you. Goodness says, I care enough about truth and respect that I'm willing to upset you if necessary. When you mistake niceness for goodness, you become easy to manipulate. People will exploit your willingness to keep the peace. They will push your boundaries, knowing you're unlikely to push back. They will test your patience, knowing your instinct is to forgive rather than confront. You end up rewarding bad behavior simply because you're more focused on being perceived as good rather than actually doing what is good for you. This confusion doesn't just harm you individually, it harms entire communities of women who are taught that their greatest virtue lies in being silent, sweet, and tolerable, no matter the cost to their souls. Real goodness, real strength, isn't about being digestible. It's about being honest. It's about being rooted in values that protect your dignity, even when others don't like it. It's about standing tall, even when it's easier to bow. Niceness demands compliance. Goodness demands courage. One of the most harmful habits many of us have been conditioned into is the reflex to smooth things over. When someone says something inappropriate, makes a disrespectful comment, invades our space, or treats us carelessly, we often find ourselves instinctively downplaying the situation, brushing it off with a nervous laugh, changing the subject, making excuses for them, or pretending it didn't bother us. Why? Because we've been taught that reacting, especially reacting strongly, makes us dramatic, emotional, or mean. Because somewhere along the way, we internalize the message that our discomfort should be less important than their comfort. Because we're afraid that calling someone out will make us look rude, aggressive, or the ultimate accusation for women, unlikable. So instead of standing firm, we downplay. Instead of confronting, we pacify. Instead of rejecting the disrespect outright, we silently absorb it, just to avoid conflict or awkwardness. But every time we do this, every time we prioritize appearing nice, over defending our dignity, we train the world how to treat us. We teach people that they can push, prod, overstep, and mistreat us without facing any real consequences. We show them that their behavior is acceptable, even when it's anything but. Smoothing things over doesn't make you kind. It doesn't make you strong. It doesn't make you the bigger person. It simply tells people that your boundaries are optional, that your feelings are negotiable, and that your worth is up for debate. Real strength is in the confrontation. It's in the uncomfortable pause after you say, I didn't appreciate that comment. It's in the silence you allow after you refuse to laugh at a degrading joke. It's in the decision to leave a situation or end a conversation when your respect isn't being honored. Refusing to smooth over bad behavior doesn't make you mean. It makes you self-respecting. It sends the clear message that disrespect has consequences, that your peace matters more than anyone's comfort, and that you are not here to make others feel better about mistreating you. The fear of seeming mean has kept too many people stuck in situations that chip away at their confidence, their sense of self, and their inner peace. It's not your job to manage someone else's feelings when they behave badly. It's your job to protect your space, your spirit, and your standards unapologetically. Boundaries are not walls meant to keep people out. They are lines drawn to protect your energy, your well-being, and your sense of self. They are not punishments. They are declarations of what is and isn't acceptable in your life. Yet, so many people, especially women, are made to feel guilty for having boundaries at all, as if saying no makes you difficult, as if expecting respect makes you demanding, as if having standards is somehow an inconvenience to those who want unrestricted access to you. The truth is, having boundaries and standards is not a luxury. It's a necessity. When you move through life without clear boundaries, you leave yourself open to mistreatment. You teach people that your time, energy, and emotions are up for negotiation. You allow the wrong people to take while you constantly give more than you're comfortable with. Without boundaries, resentment festers. Your self-esteem erodes. You begin to doubt your instincts. You stay too long in places, conversations, and relationships that drain you, all because you feel guilty about drawing a line. But here's the reality: you are allowed to expect respect without explaining why. You are allowed to say no without offering an essay of excuses. You are allowed to walk away from situations that do not honor your standards without feeling obligated to soften the blow. When you set boundaries, you are not being cruel. You are being clear. When you enforce your standards, you are not asking for too much. You are asking for the bare minimum of what you deserve. Clarity is a gift, not just to you, but to everyone around you. When you are clear about what you will and will not tolerate, you attract people who respect those lines and repel those who only ever intended to cross them. When you set your standards high and stick to them, you filter out anyone who is not willing or capable of meeting them. There is a difference between compromise and self-betrayal. There is a difference between being open-hearted and being boundaryless. There is a difference between being flexible and being a doormat. You owe no one an apology for protecting your peace. You owe no one an apology for wanting relationships, friendships, and environments that nourish you instead of draining you. You owe no one an apology for refusing to lower your standards to accommodate someone's inability to rise. Boundaries are not offensive. They are necessary acts of self-love, self-respect, and self-protection. And the moment you set them unapologetically is the moment you stop living life on someone else's terms and start living on your own. Too often, people are led to believe that if they just say yes enough times, if they just agree enough, accommodate enough, sacrifice enough, they will eventually be respected and valued. But the harsh reality is this: compliance doesn't earn respect. It earns expectation. The more you bend, the more people expect you to continue bending. The more you tolerate, the more they assume you'll always tolerate. Respect isn't handed out because you make yourself easy to deal with. Respect is given to those who are honest, unwavering in their values, and strong enough to uphold them even when it's uncomfortable. Honesty is the foundation of real respect. It means speaking up when something feels wrong instead of pretending everything is fine. It means telling the truth about what you need, about what you won't accept, and about what you expect moving forward. It's not always easy. In fact, it's often the harder road, but it is the only one that leads to genuine respect. Because when you are honest, you show people who you truly are, not who you think they want you to be. And when you are strong enough to stand by that honesty, to not back down or apologize for it, you show people that your self-worth isn't negotiable. Strength doesn't mean aggression. It doesn't mean being cold, dismissive, or controlling. True strength is quiet, steady, and powerful. It's the refusal to be molded by someone else's expectations. It's the commitment to honoring your needs and truths without fear of backlash or rejection. Compliance, on the other hand, is rooted in fear. Fear of upsetting someone, fear of being alone, fear of not being chosen. But when you live in fear, you give your power away. You allow others to set the terms of your worth, your relationships, and your life. Respect is not about making people comfortable. It's about making people recognize that you have a backbone, that you stand for something, that you cannot be easily moved by pressure, guilt, or manipulation. It's about creating a dynamic where others know if they want a place in your life, they have to bring more than empty words. They have to bring real effort, real respect, real consistency. When you are honest about who you are and strong enough to act on that honesty, you stop attracting people who want to use you. You start attracting people who want to grow with you, who see your strength not as a threat, but as an inspiration. Compliance makes you easy to ignore. Honesty and strength make you impossible to forget. Accountability is a word that makes many people uncomfortable, especially in a culture that often encourages you to let it go, be the bigger person, or not make a scene. We're told that it's better to forgive quietly, to move on without confrontation, to accept half-hearted apologies, or even worse, no apology at all. But here's a truth we don't hear often enough. When you fail to hold people accountable, you not only teach them that their behavior is acceptable, you also teach yourself that mistreatment is something you have to endure. Every time you excuse someone's disrespect, you lower the bar for how you expect to be treated. Every time you stay silent when you should speak up, you reinforce the idea, in your own mind and in theirs, that your feelings are secondary, that your boundaries are flexible, that your standards are negotiable. Accountability is not about revenge, punishment, or cruelty. It's not about anger for the sake of anger. It's about drawing a clear line between what is acceptable and what is not, and backing that line up with real action, not just words. When someone crosses a boundary, accountability looks like naming the behavior without minimizing it. It looks like saying, "That wasn't okay," and expecting real change, not just empty promises. It looks like removing your time, your energy, and your access when someone shows they are unwilling or unable to treat you with the respect you deserve. When you hold people accountable, you show them that your presence in their life is not unconditional. You show them that your kindness, your attention, your love are privileges, not entitlements. You demonstrate that relationships with you come with standards that must be met with consistency, not just convenience. But even more importantly, holding people accountable is a radical act of self-respect. It is you affirming to yourself, in real time, that you are worthy of honesty, care, consideration, and effort. It is you refusing to participate in your own mistreatment. It is you choosing over and over again to believe that you are worth protecting, not just from strangers, but even from the people you once trusted. When you start enforcing accountability, you'll notice two things happen very quickly. The wrong people will get angry, defensive, or disappear. And that's not a loss, that's a blessing. The right people will listen, reflect, and rise. Because accountability doesn't scare people who truly value you. It inspires them to be better. You do not owe anyone unlimited chances. You do not owe anyone endless forgiveness without growth. You do not owe anyone the comfort of your silence when they have disrespected you. By holding others accountable, you reclaim your power. By holding others accountable, you redefine your worth. By holding others accountable, you build a life where respect is not requested, it is required. One of the biggest lies society tells women is that we have to constantly protect men's feelings, that we must water down our words, soften our truths, and shield them from the natural consequences of their behavior. We are taught that being too direct, too firm, too honest might hurt them, might bruise their egos, might scare them away. So we are encouraged, even expected, to prioritize their emotional comfort over our own reality. But the truth is, men are adults, and adults are responsible for handling communication like grown people, not fragile children. When you soften your truth to protect a man's feelings, you are not doing him or yourself any favors. You are enabling immaturity. You are keeping the relationship surface, level, and unbalanced. You are silencing yourself to maintain a peace that is, at best, fragile and fake. Real communication means saying what you mean without wrapping it up in 1,000 layers of apology. It means expressing your needs, your standards, your boundaries, and your expectations clearly and confidently. It means calling out behavior that disrespects you without feeling guilty for making the other person uncomfortable. It means trusting that a man who is worthy of your time and energy does not crumble when faced with honesty. He grows, he adjusts, he listens. We must stop believing that men are incapable of handling real conversations. They are not made of glass. They do not need to be coddled, babied, or endlessly excused. They are entirely capable of receiving feedback, reflecting on it, and changing their behavior, if they choose to. And if they don't, that's not a reflection of your delivery or your tone. It's a reflection of their readiness or lack thereof for a mature, respectful relationship. Too many women have been trapped in cycles of over-explaining, over-apologizing, and overcompensating because they've been made to believe that a man's discomfort is more important than their own self-expression. But healthy relationships are built on truth, not tiptoeing, on clarity, not confusion, on mutual respect, not emotional babysitting. If a man can handle a boardroom negotiation, a competitive career, a complicated friendship, and all the other challenges of adult life, then he can handle you saying, "I don't accept that behavior. I need more effort from you. I am not comfortable with that comment. This doesn't work for me." You do not have to package your truth in softness just to make it palatable. You do not have to dilute your boundaries to keep the peace. You do not have to protect grown men from the reality that respect, communication, and accountability are non-negotiables. They are adults. They can handle the truth. And if they can't, they were never capable of being in your life in a healthy way to begin with. There will always be people, especially men, who prefer you to be small, agreeable, easy to control, and endlessly accommodating. They will reward you with temporary approval when you fit neatly into their expectations and withdraw that approval the moment you assert your own needs or disrupt their comfort. If you live your life chasing their approval, you will spend it in a constant cycle of self-betrayal, always contorting yourself into shapes that don't fit who you really are, just to be deemed good enough in their eyes. But the truth is, being liked is a moving target. People's opinions are fickle. They will praise you today for doing what pleases them and criticize you tomorrow when you stop. They will call you sweet when you're silent and difficult. The moment you speak up, No matter how much you give, how much you bend, or how much you try to be everything to everyone, there will always be someone who finds fault, who demands more, who withholds the validation you've been taught to seek. That's why self-respect must always come before external approval. Self-respect is your anchor. It is your internal compass that keeps you steady when the winds of other people's opinions try to sway you. It reminds you that your worth is not up for debate. It reminds you that you are not on this earth to make yourself digestible to those who refuse to grow. When you prioritize self-respect, you choose to stand firm even when it makes you unpopular. You choose to tell the truth even when it's inconvenient. You choose to set and enforce boundaries even when it disappoints others. You choose to walk away from situations, friendships, and relationships that demand your silence instead of celebrating your voice. Prioritizing self-respect means valuing your peace over temporary praise. It means being willing to be misunderstood, disliked, or even criticized if that's what it takes to remain true to yourself. It means understanding that the right people, the ones who are healthy, self-aware, and capable of real connection, will respect you more, not less, for honoring yourself. You do not need to be liked by everyone. You do not need to be chosen by everyone. You do not need to sacrifice your dignity at the altar of approval. Self-respect demands that you show up for yourself first, fiercely, unapologetically, and consistently. It demands that you become the kind of person who does not flinch when others disapprove, who does not crumble when others withdraw their validation, who does not lower her standards just to avoid being labeled too much. When you live rooted in self-respect, you no longer chase acceptance. You no longer negotiate your worth. You no longer settle for half love, half truths, or half effort. You recognize that being true to yourself is infinitely more valuable than being liked by people who only ever love the version of you that served their needs. It's time we stop playing small to make others comfortable. It's time we stop sacrificing our truth for the sake of being liked. It's time we stop pretending that niceness and compliance are virtues, when in reality, they keep us in chains. We deserve more than just approval. We deserve respect. We deserve honesty. We deserve to be seen for who we truly are, not for who others want us to be. It's time to own our strength, to speak our truth, and to set boundaries that reflect our worth, not our fear of confrontation. So let us no longer apologize for being unapologetic. Let us no longer hide our voices to soothe someone else's ego. Let us no longer accept anything less than the respect we know we deserve. The world will always try to tell us who to be, but when we choose to stand strong in who we are, unapologetically and without compromise, we create the life we want, a life built on truth, respect, and real connection. And when we stand in our power, we not only change the way others treat us, we change the way we treat ourselves. So let's stop being nice to men. Let's do this instead. Let's be strong. Let's be honest. Let's be unapologetically ourselves.